Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I have a pretty good rack. I've drawn the blank and the rest of the tiles quite bingo-y, except for the pair of duplicate tiles. So, is there a bingo here? Let me squiz through the alphabet, see if anything comes to mind. I feel like there is one here. But can I find it? Nothing so far. Would be quite high probability if there's one here, despite the duplicates. Still nothing. What about the S? Don't think so. Wow, this will be a big miss. And racks can deteriorate so quickly. Well, I'm just not seeing a bingo there. So, what do? Do I look further or do I just play off I and T? So the S looked the most promising, I think. But I'm not seeing anything there. What about the E? No. Okay, well, this may be a shocking miss, but I'm playing tie for 4. And I draw a V, which is non-bingo-y, and also an H, so pretty poor pickup. Havarti is good with the blank as an A. Will that play? Probably not too many bingos with this rack. Great, Havarti definitely plays in row F, so I am bingoing. Wex only takes a D and an S. Don't have one. Z only takes an S. Yeah, so I'm not seeing anywhere else. X, I, E, T. No. Now, let me make sure the blank is the A in the right spot, and it is. So Havarti for 71. Pretty grim pickup, very unbalanced, only one vowel. But there are quite a few floating vowels on the board, so I can certainly play through this. Just wondering if I can get my C or P on this double letter square. I'm expecting opponent to take the I. And now I have a D for Wexed, so I could play Clad, keeping double N, not great. Do I have anything longer than that? Or anything which, well, like Nad, not good. It is good as a plural, Nads. But Pand is good. Okay, so I do have a way of splitting up the N's. Now, opponent taking a while. If he's bingoing, it may not be through the I. So what would I have through this I? I would like to get the C or the P on this double letter square. Not seeing anything at all. Wow, and opponent doesn't use that. Does provide a couple more floating vowels. I don't think any of them give me a bingo. So this is what I was thinking of, Pand. No, I need the D after Wex. Wow, I have the tiles for plonged, and it just misses the triple word square twice. Now, forgetting about placing a C or an L on this double letter square, what do I have through this I? Is there a way of turning over a few tiles just to increase score? There's nothing particularly worth keeping on this rack. These are tough opening racks. Now what about placing my P next to the I? Well, I don't have a tile to go next to the E, so that doesn't work. Well, I'm just amazed I can't see anything through this I apart from Lind, but that keeps both of my big tiles and doesn't score very much. Let me come back to the Wexed spot. And I'm just looking for a play which burns one of the ends. Not seeing one. What about playing Kloop? 30 points, decent score, inhibiting both triple word squares. I'm going with this. Phew, I had a moment's doubt that it might not be good. And although the rack leave of DWM was pretty grim, I was burning 4 tiles and getting 30 points. Gosh, close to Gazunder. And only one vowel again. I seem to have had quite a lot of games recently with very unbalanced racks. But that's what you would expect over a very long series of games. Now, I did manage to retain the D for Wexed. But AD just not particularly profitable. I've got Zing through this I. That's nice. And I've got an R for going next to the E, so I might have a GRA play. I'm going to struggle to play off the Z with the U. Now I have Zing in column 15, which stays available. Wow. I would have Dersey onto an I. That's not going to get tripled or even fit. So I have this ing ending. Just wondering about hanging on to the Z. I think I should play it. This rack leave isn't terrible, it's balanced, and the N helps the U, and I'm stopping opponent from going in this spot. Pretty good. That's looking a little closer to a bingo. Launderer through 2 E's. That's not available. And the board suddenly dampened down by the C and by Zing and by this I being so close to the end of a play. Nice play by opponent. A goes between J and A. Now I'm short on vowels, so slightly. Do I have a play through this A? Well, I do. I have anal. But I'd like to split up the R's if I can. Well, Alar does that. 31 points, decent score, providing nothing. Not playing the U, but I can't. Ah, well, AU is good, so I could just play AUA. That would score less, and it would retain double R, so I think I prefer this. Yes, I'm going with this. Well, balanced rack, and I have scoring tiles. So this probably has quite a lot of flexibility. But the board, super tight, and the opponent's just tightened it even more. Wow, this is a tight board. I was just looking at my rack, thinking a play of FY or Fury could go down, and very limited options. Javel takes an F, so I could play AUF. Bet takes an A. Now, what about a YA play? Well, I don't think I can do any better than Yad, providing access to column 8. So it really looks like I cannot... Alari is good. I was going to say I can't play off F and Y, but I can. And not only does this achieve that, it also provides nothing, which I think on a board this tight is quite useful, because what you want to be is in a position where opponent opens the board for not many points, and you're able to take advantage of the openings. I was just wondering if I had flying, and I don't. Do I have any extension to TI? No. So I do like fly. Yeah, and I'm not seeing anything better. Not good. This U has been on my rack forever. Fortunately, I haven't duplicated it. 3 U's still to come. And now I have no scoring tiles. What I do have is an A for going after bet and in front of it. But if opponent goes there, he'll be taking out both possibilities. And certainly if opponent plays in row E, I've got nothing to go after a bet. But I may have access to this triple word square. Nice play by opponent. 16 points does open the board up. I can't really take advantage. I've got diurnal. 12 points. Pretty grim. What about back here? What do I have? I have Dad for 18, keeping the U. Zingal. 4 S's and a blank to come. Zingal takes an S. I'm inclined to take fewer points, take out the 7-letter S spot in row J. There still remains one in row I, but I think it's time to get rid of this wretched U. Is this the best spot? I'm turning over a lot of tiles, so I could get a heap of junk. What about playing something like Erd? Okay, that's not going to work. But what about a play parallel to Zingle? I don't think I'm going to score enough, and I'll be creating hotspots and floaters. Now, is this really the best I can do? Well, I couldn't get very much for Dad, so I am going with this. Phew, I thought that was saying I'd made a false move. Wow, that's quite a pickup. I think I have possibly dupings, which does play in row I, and also in row L. I think this is good because I can't see any anagram, and I think this is a bingo set. Dupings for 78. Fantastic. And I draw a lot of vowels, but the F and the K, the high scoring tiles, benefit from vowels, and I have a 150-point lead. I'm playing at odd times. I'm no longer playing just on Saturday and Sunday because the international Scrabble scene is returning. Big tournament in Malta. So I'll be away out of the country for the best part of a week. And I'm just recording a couple of videos at irregular times in order to accommodate the weekend that I'm away. Now, what to do here? 26 points for opponent. He still trails by 120, still 25 tiles to come. And pretty bingo-y if you take out Q, U, V, W, Y. The 3 S's and the blank means that this is a bingo-y pool. Him takes an S in front. Well, I can sort of deal with that by playing Kuya. Keeping the F for score. K takes an O in front, not massively dangerous. Kufi is also good, but that would leave, well, it doesn't play, and it would have a worse vowel consonant balance. At least if I draw vowels, I've got the F for score, and Kuia does take out this shim possibility with 3 S's to come, so that's in its favour. Well, I dodge all those S's and the blank. I do have an O for OK. I'm reluctant to provide 3 floaters, although I could with Faro and free on. Well, I probably will do that. The F not particularly dangerous in first place, and the R is useful, as is the E. But I have a good lead over opponent, and a column 2 bingo would provide access to column 1. Now, opponent provides a floating D. Does that give me a bingo? I don't think it does. And he has opened the board up. I'm minded to turn over tiles to expedite the end of the game and to try and get hold of some of these bingo-y tiles, in particular the S and the blank. Free on for 36. And I draw the blank. Fantastic. I have a weighted, but that's a 7, which doesn't play. However, this doesn't look too far away from a bingo, and I now have a number of floaters to consider. What about the F? I have Fatouard. Wow, that would be amazing if it stays available. Opponent may have a row O play, which would take that out. But I do have Fatouard with the blank as an H. So, do I have an alternative bingo? I have the ED ending. Well, all I've seen there is a weighted. Maybe opponent's got the Q. Fantastic. Especially if he plays through this E, Q, U, E. That would be terrific, taking out the bottom of the board while Fatouard takes out what's left. Now, the E doesn't look impossible for a bingo. Let me have a look through the alphabet. I have in mind D, E, and R, I think. It's double A, which is problematic, I think. Now I have the head prefix with D and E. No, not seeing anything there. I guess it's the W, which is fantastic. I can stop looking because my dream play remains available. Fatouard for 95. Bang! And, well, I don't really care what I've drawn because I've just played a fantastic bingo which guarantees the win. I lead by over 200 points and there are only 4 tiles in the bag. However, I do still have moves to play, and I would have a Boato through an A. What a shame. So often there is a floating A and not a floating E because the E is more valuable, and that's not the case here. But opponent might stick an A in the open at the top. Do I have a bingo through the D? I don't think so. I played shockingly badly in the previous game. I'm still haunted by that just dreadful miss of tail yees, dire style and steadily. Hopefully that will be an isolated incident. But it's good to learn from those experiences and reflect on why you didn't spot the play. And I think tail yees is just an obscure word, even though it's very high probability. And the steadily and dire style, I reflected on how long I spent looking with the blank as a D, and it's actually very little time. And once you consider a floater and really concentrate on it, oftentimes you only think about it for a few seconds before moving on. And if you don't spot the bingo in that time, then you don't return to it. Now, opponent does play the A. And that's not to excuse the miss, but it's always helpful to try and understand why you've made a miss, because then maybe you can seek to avoid a similar scenario in future. So opponent's played the A. It's not available for a boiteau. One tile in the bag. Could be a Q. Opponent probably wouldn't have played AVE if he had the Q. So the Q would have been one of 4 tiles in the bag. So he's probably got it. He doesn't have a U. I lead by 180. So how can I turn over tiles? I'm not minded to play the U in a hurry in case the Q's in the bag, and it will be 25% of the time, a quarter of the time if I'm right about my inference. So I've got bait for 24, that's pretty grim. Because if I draw the Q, I'm not going to go out with this. So that doesn't feel best. What about Obeah? Keeping the T. 26 points is good. Well, I have Qua onto the A. Do I have a second spot for the Q? 6 minutes on my clock. So, where else can my Q play? Where are the vowels on the board? Not good. So I would be stuck with the Q if I play Obeah. If opponent has the Q, what's he going to do with it? I think he may be stuck with it. Interesting. Can I go out with EUT? Duet down the bottom. Gosh, I may not. So 5 minutes on my clock. Obeah doesn't feel great. What would be better? I'm guaranteed to win the game. I think I will come back and play this. And I draw the Q. Unbelievable. I was gambling that opponent had the Q. And he doesn't. So I've got Qua, which opponent will surely block. Oh, what an idiot. What an idiot. Okay, so it doesn't affect the result of the game. I am going to be winning it. Through you, I would have Took. Is there really nowhere else? Yeah, opponent blocks my Qua play. No alternative. I do have 4 minutes to contemplate my foolishness. And I think there really is nowhere. So, opponent's got a lot of tiles. He'll be going out one at a time. I should do the same. Where can I score with E or T without giving anything huge to opponent? Well, that would only be 4 points. 4 minutes on my clock. Still looking for Q spots, but I don't think there are any. So I can play the. And can I set up anything for my Q? Very unlikely. And will opponent provide anything? Again, extremely unlikely. So time to play off the E. Where's the best spot for that? And I played over here because I felt I'd spent too long contemplating plays and wanted to move things on, and then this happens. You draw the cue and you're in a protracted one tile at a time end game. Opponent's got an S. Will he provide a spot for Sook? Surely not. Are there any I's for Chi? Or In's for Chin? I think opponent would have identified any of those. Now I do need to play the U. Or to pass. I think I'll pass. I do have U spots. I have Utah and O. So if opponent plays his, I have Sook. Three minutes on my clock, 10 on opponents. He's got 3 tiles left. He's got 1 tile left, so it is time to play the U. Is this the best spot? 4 points. Three points for O. I'm going with this. And opponent's just got his S to play. He could play Kloops and S. And he does. And the final score, 340 for my opponent, 486 for me. A winning margin of 146 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Wow, what a game. Definitely better options will have been available at the end. So it was me to go first. Missed bingo, trake it. Well, nothing else is showing, so that might be the only one, and quite obscure. And instead I played TI, keeping a very strong rack leave. Opponent's rack plays Wex. Now I have Havarti, and that is the only bingo. The only difference between these two plays being which of the A's you have as the blank. Opponent's rack, lots of vowels, plays Guia. Point, that would have been the play, 33 points through the I. And I play Kloop for 30, fewer points and a worse rack leave. And I'm leaving this I available. Opponent's rack plays Go, and I play Zing for 42, and that looks fine. Opponent's rack plays Javal, and D12, Allah, I think that was my play, yep. And now it's opponent with only one vowel, plays Cobb, and I play Fly, which doesn't appear here. But I13, Zingy is good, so I could have played Fry and Zingy. Wow, 31 points. What do? Well, I play similar tiles, the F and the Y, but for 7 fewer points. Now, opponent's rack. No bingo, plays Zingel. I have this rack, Javelina, I could have played for 36. And I played Diurnal for 12, which compares quite favourably with most of these plays, but not with the best one. Opponent's rack plays Mint. And now look at this, I have dupings in a couple of spots, and this scores the most. Nice rack for opponent. Well, I was expecting Smith to go down somewhere, but it doesn't. No bingo, plays him. And opponent does have the S for shim, which was the inference which influenced my choice of Kuya. But quite a few more points available, including Aki above him, which would interfere with the shim hook and score a lot more, but with a dreadful rack leave. But the rack leave after Kuya wasn't particularly great, so Aki probably a better play. Although it does take an R in front, so I don't think these moves are quite as far apart as the scores suggest. Opponent's rack down to 1 vowel, plays mind, and I have free on for 36, which looks fine. Opponent plays oi, and here we go. Wow, the only bingo. I think I might have spent a while looking for an alternative one if that had been blocked, but there wasn't one, so delighted to have spotted that, and that really secured the win, put me over 200 points in front. Gosh, I thought opponent might have a bingo here with these floaters, but he doesn't. Plays Ave. And now 1 tile in the bag. And in my moment of madness, I play Obia, which was terrible because Obit keeping AEU would have given me Qua at the top and Quad at the bottom. So that would have been such a simple alternative play. I think maybe I was gambling not only that the Q was on opponent's rack, but that the single tile that was left would be more likely to help me go out in 1 with a rack leave of Ute rather than AEU. Anyway, it's still a decent score and doesn't affect the winning of the game. And opponent has a bingo at the end. Re-stress N7 through this E. Wow. So that would have made the difference between Obia and Obit completely redundant because opponent has a bingo. Interesting. But he doesn't spot it. And look at this. No Q plays available. Opponent plays XIS. Still no Q plays. Opponent could go out. Rightly chooses not to. And opponent keeps going. I pass. Opponent plays Rec. Still no play for the Q. And I play the U. And Uta for 4 was most. And opponent goes out with Kloops. So, what a game. Nearly 500 points and a big margin of victory. And fantastic fun getting Fatwa down. So, all good preparation for the big tournament in Malta, which I am absolutely super excited to go to. The first international tournament for over 18 months since the pandemic began. And it's great that I've got my tickets booked and I'm heading out to the islands of Malta to be there in person for this fantastic inaugural re-beginning of the international Scrabble scene. Anyway, back to this game. Many thanks to my opponent for a good battle. I hope you enjoyed watching this game, and I will see you next time.